As a kid, church wasn't a thing for us. I'm not sure what Sunday mornings consisted of, but it didn't involve going to church. We went to the occasional service with my grandparents or maybe an Easter service to make so-and-so happy, but it was not a regular activity for us at all. From a young age, of course, you can't be involved in any sort of deep, sinful things, but you're still separated from God, and I think that creates a void that no matter how young you are, you know something's missing. Things changed for me in the summer of 2006. I had just finished first grade, and my best friend from school invited me to Paulann's VBS week. My parents weren't in town, and so I stayed with her all week. I remember exactly where I was sitting in the chapel in Paulann when I heard the gospel. That night, I really heard it, and it resonated within me. I heard that there was a God who knew all the wrongs that I had ever done, that he had a son who loved me and who came to this earth to set me free from all of my sins, that he died on a cross and rose again. And I knew in that moment that the void that was in my heart could only be filled by this Jesus guy that wanted to live in my heart forever. When my parents came back from being out of town, I think they were very confused by my behavior, but eventually my parents began to be the ones that were taking me to church and making that effort, and church became more of a weekly thing for them. But I knew something was still missing. I knew there was still a disconnect, but things started to change after I got baptized. There was almost a softness about my parents that hadn't been there before. A year later, in March of 2008, my mom got saved, and it was a complete turning point for her life. In May of 2009, my dad was saved and baptized and absolutely changed the dynamic of our family. I went from having a dad who didn't even think about praying over meals to having a dad that'll call me on a Tuesday night and say, "Hey baby, just wanted to pray over your test tomorrow." Just the change in the way he fathers me has been only from the Lord. So now my whole family is plugged in full-time at the church. My mom leads women's ministry, and my dad is a table leader for the men's ministry. And I got to step into a ministry role last August. So I now help Nellie Guerrera in the nursery. Man, you have those kiddos come in, and it's just, there's something really sweet about that, to know that that was me. And somebody poured into me, and someone shared the gospel with me. And it absolutely changed everything about my life. My story began when someone simply invited me to church. God used it, and I don't think God takes the hearts of his children very lightly. It wasn't necessarily church that saved me and my family, but it was the saving power of Jesus working in and through the church that ultimately brought us to redemption.